Hi, thanks for joining me this morning. The only thing different about this camera is that I have got a battery grip installed. You can buy these. I got this on eBay for £23 and it came with actually a battery as well. So obviously putting the battery in the camera is the same as putting it in the charger here. So what you get a cradle and you get your batteries, which is ×2, and obviously there's an arrow on the front there to show you which way to put it in so you can't get that wrong. So slide one battery in, slide the next one in, and that's your carrier all sorted, ready to go and power up your camera. Then all you need to do is slip the cartridge into the camera and lock it. That's all you need to do. So now the camera is ready to power up and go. On the side of the camera, so when you're looking through the viewfinder, it's on the right hand side, there's a little door here that you slide. You slide it open and it shows the input port for your excuse me, your memory card. Now obviously I bought this in 2006. That's the memory card that I got with the camera. It's 1 GB compact flash memory card. So I got that and then I bought another one, so I have 2 GB of storage for this particular camera. So you just get the writing facing you and then just slide it in. And to take it out, you have a little button at the bottom where you just push the button in and it pushes the compact flash out. So right into your face, just put it in there and click it and lock it shut. So we've got the battery ready, we've got the memory card ready. The only thing you need to do now is obviously put a lens on. Now for this purpose, doesn't matter which lens, it's only a test, but I'll be using the nifty 50 that goes on. So the only recommendation of this, when you're changing lenses, always try and make sure that you try and keep it facing downwards or straighter, so eliminating too much dust going into your sensor. So twist to the left, take your cap off. That exposes your mirror and your sensor, which is covered by the mirror. Take the cover off your lens, and there's a red dot. If you can see that, yeah, there's a red dot there, and there's a red dot on your camera. Well, on your camera on this particular model, there's a red and white dot. Obviously, that's so it takes EOS S-type lens. Well, this is obviously just a normal standard lens. So you go with the red button in line with the red button on the camera. You just put it on there and then turn it to the left and it locks and it's ready to go. And then take the lens cap off. So really it is simple as that. So that's the basic function to get your camera up and running, to get it started. Now on top, as you can see, there's a wheel here and there's a switch off and on. So all you need to do is switch the switch on, the green light illuminates to say that you've got power. And then on the back you have your display. So we'll dig into that shortly. So we'll move on to the next step, and I'll go through the wheel first, because obviously that's the bit that you need to know to which program you're going to be using. Okay, so just to familiarise yourself with the camera, if I just turn it over, obviously this is your main wheel. Okay, can you see that? Yeah. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 functions there, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 functions on the bottom of the wheel. Now these bottom ones I'll leave out for today because they are in a way irrelevant, because the first time you use the camera you really only use these top ones on here. So you've got your square one here, that is fully automatic. So if you just want to go out and take snapshots, that's the one you'd use. That's the one that you'd use if you want it to be a mobile phone camera. I'm not too affair. I don't really like using it. I used it when I first got the camera just to get used to it myself, so that's why I think it's a good idea to have a play on that mode there. Then you've got P, program mode. Then you've got TV, which is on Canon cameras, it's time value. So that's the speed. Then you've got aperture value, which is obviously the size of the aperture of your lens, and then fully manual. So on fully manual, you will control everything that the camera does. On the AV, you control everything apart from the aperture. The camera will set the aperture for you. Time value is the same. You can set the aperture, and whatever the light is, the time value, the shutter speed, that's what it will be set automatically by the camera. So the camera will set the shutter speed. Program, that'll do both the time value and aperture value, and then obviously the square button, as I said before, is the fully automatic function. And then obviously the other ones at the bottom, they're just different formats for the camera to set on program mode, which is fine, but once you get to use the manual mode, then these become irrelevant, really. It might take a bit of time, but even if you can get, from using auto program mode to using one of these three, you would have learned something very quickly, and you'll start getting, some good results. So that's the wheel, yeah. You have your on and off button, which I showed you before. So to switch the camera on, you just flick the switch upwards, and then you get your green light to say that it's on. You have your button there for focusing and taking the picture, and this wheel here, you can adjust some of the operations from the wheel. Okay then, so once you've switched your camera on and you've selected the mode on top, if you press the shutter halfway, see it's gone off now, it's obviously time. So if you press the shutter halfway, it'll tell you what it is. So there it shows that we're on full automatic. The ISO, which is the film speed, which is also automatic. The white balance is, the focusing system is, it tells you it's a large JPEG file. Battery, and there it says we can have 215 large JPEGs on the card. So when you take a picture and you hold it down halfway, you've got to press the button halfway, that'll focus, and it tells us with the light that we've got available, it's shooting at 1/400th of a second, or 320 as the light changes. We're at f5, which is the aperture. Auto ISO, full auto, yeah. So if I just pull it away, take a picture, as you can see there. Now people have asked, sent me messages, and thanks for that, by the way. How do you review a picture? Because obviously this camera doesn't have live view, like obviously the one I'm recording on has live view. I can see what we're recording immediately, yeah? But obviously on these older cameras, you can't do that. So once you've taken the picture, yes, it comes up. You can set the time in the memory for how long that stays up. Well, obviously I've set it as the maximum I can. That's why it's going off. But to review a picture, you just need to press the play button, which is there. So if you press the play button, there you go, it shows the picture that you've just taken. And if you want to see if it's in focus, then you've got these two buttons here that you can zoom in. So if you press the plus, it'll zoom, yeah? To move it down, you move your arrow down on the camera, or up on the camera, left, right, yeah? So you can see whether you're in focus or not. Keep going, it'll keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And to be fair, as that was just a quick shot, that's pretty much in focus, yeah? And then to move out, just move it out and watch that little square, and it comes up there. So obviously the more you take, it'll have more pictures in there. So that it is as easy as that to push that button in to view your picture that you've just taken. If you don't like that picture, you can either leave it till the end of the day, till the end of your photo shoot, or you can delete it straight away. So there again, below the play button, you have a delete button. Press that and it says cancel, erase or all. So if it's only the one picture, you just put erase on the arrow here, press the center button, and there we go, it's deleted that image. Obviously the memory card's clear now. So once you've, like I said, just to reiterate, press the button halfway down. This tells us that we're on full auto mode. So if the light's not very good and it needs extra light, the flash will automatically come on, which it did. You don't need to worry about the ISO, you don't need to worry about the white balance, you don't need to worry about the focusing side. All you need to do is press the button halfway down for the camera to focus, and then immediately take the picture. And you started. And then we've gone through to review the picture by looking at the play button and zooming in with the arrows on the side there. And if you don't like the picture, press delete, use the arrows to select which one you want, and press the center button. Now if you want, I'll go through that again. So we'll take a picture. There we go. We've taken the picture. Zoom in. Select it, zoom in. Move the arrows to where you want to see how focus or not focus it is. And zoom out on the left button. And there's your picture, yeah? We don't like that picture. Press the delete button. See the cancel, erase all. Use your scroll left to erase. Press the center button and the image is gone. The next step, I've just changed the mode to TV. which, as we said before, is time value. Now, once I've taken it out of full auto, as you can see, looking at the back of the camera, there is a few changes that it's made. I always take my photographs in RAW. So when I'm in manual mode or TV or AV mode, it reverts back to my own settings that I set the camera. As in the program mode, you know, the green square, as we've just gone through, that overrides everything that you do and puts it in the most easiest basic usage function. So when you start changing it, it's changed it back to my settings, which is RAW, and now it's dropped down to I can only take 95 pictures of RAW footage. Now I use RAW, this is a personal choice. It's so I can go on my computer and edit all the post stuff on my computer. Canon's very good with the colour schemes. I choose Faithful. I mean, there again, that's personal choice. So I record everything in RAW and on Faithful colour mode. But there again, that's another thing to get into later on. That's going indulging deep into the menu system. So with that, the TV mode is, as you can see there, that it's searching all the time for the light. Now, you can still change some bits with, like I said to you before, this wheel. Get into the wheel at the front. If you turn that wheel, it will change certain things, but even though it's keeping it, as soon as you change the time value, the speed, TV speed, it changes the aperture to match the right speed to get to the right exposure. So that's your exposure line. So in the middle, that means once you take a picture at those settings, the exposure is going to be, well, it's supposed to be perfect, yeah? So if you keep, even in this mode, you change this wheel, you can change the speed. And if you use the rule of thumb where if you've got a 50 millimeter lens, then you should be really shooting minimum at 100 of a second. And doing that, it's giving us an aperture of f4.5. We're at 100th speed, and the exposure, that's the word I'm looking for, the exposure is in the middle, which is perfect. And obviously the ISO is set at 200. So if the ISO was set higher for a bit lower light, then these would be different. That would be probably lower. So if I reduced the ISO to 100, that would probably be at 50, something like that, which you don't really want. And everything else is as it should be. So that's the TV mode. If we then go on to the aperture value, you can see TV is the time value, so you can still only control that and forget about everything else. But once you go on to the aperture value, this allows you, when you move the wheel, it changes the f-stop. So press the button halfway. At 5, it's only 80. Yeah. So if I go up, that's going to go up. If you go down, that's going to give us more of a better speed. So that's obviously acceptable. That's acceptable, and we're at f4. So aperture value allows you to alter the aperture, as you can see, and everything else is set. And the TV, which is the time value, allows you to alter the shutter speed and alters everything automatically. So these two programs are a great way of learning quickly and learning what the outcome is when you start just turning, let's take a picture at 200 with the aperture at 2.8, or you turn it down a bit, it'll open the aperture, close the aperture a bit more, which should making the time value longer. And just take snapshots and then just look at your pictures and pick the best. So it's always good to take a few pictures of the same thing, and then you can and move in between AV and TV, and then pick, you know, the best picture out of it. That's what generally, if you, just for argument's sake, if you take, say, 6 pictures, realistically you're only going to get about 2 that are keepers, as we call it. So if you take 10, the chances are you're going to get more keepers. So that's the idea behind it. Okay, next we'll go on to manual. I've switched it over now to the manual mode. So you can see now it's in M. Obviously it's still in RAW format. Obviously that's the remaining pictures. You've got your ISO, you've got your aperture value, and you've got your time value. Now all this is now controlled by you. So everything that you'll do is you. So with no program modes, it's all manual, if that makes sense to you. So if I press the shutter halfway down to focus, it'll tell us what the aperture is and what the speeds are. Well, that's underexposed, yeah? Press it again. You can see it's underexposed. If I turn that wheel and keep going, that takes it to the middle. We're now at 1/400th, which is acceptable. We're at f2, and we're still at ISO 200. Yeah. So if I want to change the f-stop, there's a button here called aperture value, which is that, yeah, which is the top button there. So if you press that in with your thumb and move the wheel, that allows you now to change the aperture. So if you want to close it up, open it up, go down, whichever. Because obviously every camera has a sweet spot. So if you're outside, that's usually anywhere between 5.6 and f32. So usually, you know, as a point of starting, f5 is usually the one outside. So if I press that now, that tells me that it's way underexposed. So for it to change that, I'd have to take it to, there we go, 1/50th of a second. But that's inside. If we're outside, it'd probably drop to probably, I don't know, 100, 125. So in manual mode, you can control everything. Yeah? Now the ISO side, I'll go into the menu in a minute and show you how to adjust that. So just to reiterate on what we've done, to get your values, you press your button in halfway, the camera focuses, and it tells you your settings. If you want to change the shutter speed, then just move your wheel up or down. Obviously that's really slow, that's overexposing. Keep clicking the wheel, and that gives you the appropriate exposure at them speeds. I hope I'm making sense here, because like I say, it can be quite complicated. So that just gives you your speed. So your speed is your shutter speed. 1/50th of a second, 1/40th, 1/60th. Keep going, keep going, keep going, yeah? I think this goes up to 4,000, yeah. So if I took a picture of that, 4,000 at f6 in here, at that, I mean, it's way, way, way underexposed, yeah, because the shutter is too quick, so it's not letting the light in. So even if I push the button in for aperture value and turn it down to the widest opening on this lens, which is 1.8, and try it, I'm still way underexposed. So to get that to work, keep moving it down. There you go, can you see? There we go, at 500ths of a second, and at f1.8, which is the widest open aperture of the lens, I can take a picture of that and it's going to be perfect exposure, in theory. So I hope that helps. So we're in manual mode, as you can see. we're on autofocusing system, and you can see your autofocus points in this box here, which you can change. There's only 9. We're in RAW format, battery's full, and we've got 95 pictures left in RAW format. Yeah, we've changed that to large, as you saw before at the beginning on program. I think it was 415, was it? Something like that. And obviously that's your flash photography, and obviously the mode for your servo. But like I said, that's getting a bit deeper into the camera, and that's pretty much it. So I think next, maybe we just need to tip into the menu system. Let's move on to the next bit of information for you, the menu system. Now, this can get quite complicated, and the idea of this video today is for me to try and be as basic and as informative and easy to understand as it can be. So I'm going to try my best to show you that. So back onto the button system. We know we've got all these buttons here, etc. There's pointless me going through some of them. And on the right hand side, but as you can see here, you have a menu button, and that button there allows you to enter the camera's system. So all we need to do is press the menu button, and it comes up with menus. So first of all, along the top you have 1, 2, play mode, tools, and tools 2. So on the first one you've got your quality. As I said, I use RAW, so to change that you can just enter on the button in the middle, enter that, and it shows you there what you can select. So you can actually set it to do RAW only, RAW plus JPEG, small, medium and large. So as you can see, the quality on RAW is the size is 3888 by 2592. So the quality of that in pixel wise is still good enough for HD. If you want to go onto a website and check, what quality is needed for HD, then obviously, feel free to do that. Obviously, the camera I'm recording on, because it's the latest one, the file size of them is 4000 by 3, I think. I can't remember what it is now. But obviously, this is a more modern camera that I'm recording on. But for this one, for this purpose, we've got the menu system on that. So quality, red eye, on or off. Obviously that's for your flash. The beep on, so when I press that and it's in focus, it will beep and shot onto the card, which is obviously on. So go back up and system 2. This is where it gets complicated, and I don't think I should touch anywhere near this. I would let the camera sort this out while you're learning. This is obviously your bracketing for your overexposure and underexposure. Same for the flash. All these really, I wouldn't touch. The only thing that I would touch is your picture style on this particular page. Yeah. So to enter it, just obviously press the button, go down, and use your picture style. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I use Faithful because Canon are very good with colours, but you can change it, and you can change it for whatever you want to use the camera for on that day. So if you're taking pictures of landscape, you can use the landscape mode, and that will set the colour style for landscape, so it'll make the greens a bit more nicer, the blue's a bit more nicer in the sky, etc, etc. Your portrait mode, that will allow you softer values. So you can see on the landscape, it's giving its values of 4. That's to do with the colour schemes. Portrait is 2, that's a bit softer, and standard. So they're all your defined stuff. So you can always use standard. That's a good starting point. But for me, like I say, I always take my pictures in faithful. That's because I just like it that way. I just think it gives good natural colours, which obviously we all like. But that's, it's a thing that you try yourself. So that's your picture style. So on that particular menu system, on the 2, I wouldn't worry about any of these. The only thing I'd worry about is your style, yeah. And obviously I've got user define, which I don't want. So I want faithful and press the button to select. So it's selected faithful. So disregard all them for now, and then back up to the top. Your blue one is all about the playback, really. It's got a little play button. So you can protect your pictures so you can't delete them by accident. You can rotate them. Print order if you want to print direct from the card. Transfer order, autoplay, review time on hold. I put that on hold just for this purpose. On your review time, it tells you how long the picture will stay on the screen for. So you can have it hold 8 seconds, 4 seconds, 2 seconds, or completely off. So once you're taking the picture, it'll hold it until you turn it off. Okay. But there again, on this system, I wouldn't worry about any of this really at all. Maybe your review time, it's not that important. So it's your first tool set, which is like shows a spanner, etc. You've got your auto power, that's 30 seconds. So if you want your power to be different, then if I select that by pressing the selection button and scroll it down and put it onto off, that now it won't auto power off. I mean, it's a good idea to have it set to some value, because obviously while you're walking around with your camera on your neck and you've left it switched on and you forgot to turn it off, then obviously the power will and you will have a battery problem. So I've only got it on off for the purpose of this video, but while you're out on scene, if you will, always set it to a value of maybe 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever you choose, and it will obviously save your battery power. So there we go, that's that one. Press menu again. So we're back onto that. Auto rotate will always have that on. So if you do take a picture in portrait mode or landscape mode, it is what it is. Brightness, once you've set that, you leave it. The LCD auto off, enable. So there again, for your LCD, just like that, scroll down and you can enable it or disable it. So obviously I enable it so it stays on. Date and time, file numbering, there again, that's continuous. I wouldn't touch that unless you want to do something different. Well, I don't know why you would, but leave it on continuous. And format, so obviously that's just once you've taken these pictures and you've downloaded them to your computer, and obviously you want to format your disk, so you press format, tells you what's used, so you just click OK and press the enter button, and there you get it, formats your card. Always format your card. So back up to there, onto the second one. Obviously language, for me here it's English. The video system is set for PAL, which is the European or England function. If you're in America, you can set that to NTSC. That's the American side, yeah. But obviously we're in England here. Custom functions. I don't think I'll dig into that. That can be quite complicated. That the custom functions is you can set certain functions that you want to store, and all you need to do is select the custom function that you've set and use that for taking photographs. That's another issue. That's digging too deep, I think. Clear settings. So obviously, if you buy a second-hand camera, the first thing that I would do is switch it on, go straight to menu 2, go to clear settings, click on clear settings, and you've got the option to clear all camera settings, clear all custom functions. Because basically somebody could have set the camera to what they want, and when you come to use it, you don't understand why a button is not doing what it should. So it's basically just setting the camera back to its factory settings, basically. So I would clear all them on both, on the camera settings and custom functions. Because if you come to your camera and somebody could have set it to back focusing, yeah. So when you're pressing your shutter speed, your shutter halfway down, and your autofocus isn't focusing, you think, oh, my lens is broke, or there's something wrong with the camera. No, it may be that somebody set the focusing button to one of the buttons at the back to back button focus, as we call it. There again, that's digging deeper into the camera settings, and it's not really a basic tuition. So there again, I will leave that. So cancel that. Sensor cleaning, always have that on auto. All that does really is when you switch your camera off, it does a sensor cleaning. And the manual cleaning is when you want to clean the sensor yourself. There again, that's a separate video to clean your sensor. And there again, the firmware version of this at the moment is 1.0.4. I think I've been on the website, but there isn't another update for the firmware. Because it's an old camera now, they don't tend to release any more firmware for it. But there is older versions of this. I think this is the latest, most up-to-date version. Well, it was last time I looked. So there again, not a thing you should touch. And basically, that's pretty much it on the menu side of it. So if we go back, your first one's your quality. I'm in RAW, but if you don't want it on RAW, you can select. Let's just change it. So that if you go onto small, that gives you that size, medium, and large. Yeah, that goes back up. Same with the other one, large, medium, small. And obviously that's large for the JPEG, yeah? So that's JPEG and RAW. And RAW only. So if you want JPEG and RAW, you can have both. Or if you just go up to large, that's just JPEG. But there again, you can see the size, the pixels is nearly 4,000 by nearly 2,600. This really, pixel-wise, is for size of print, I would say. Now that's where people are getting mixed up with, or if my camera's got 30 megapixels, it's going to be much better than a 10 megapixel. Well, yeah, the picture quality will be better at a higher resolution, but all it means is that you can print a bigger picture. That's the only difference. If you read anywhere on the internet about pixels and what the actual explanation of it is that the higher resolution you've got, the higher pixel rate you've got, doesn't mean to say you're going to get a better photograph, because the photograph is going to be taken by you. So you're the one that composes it, you're the one that sets the ISO, you're the one that sets the speed, etc, etc, etc. So you're in control of what the camera takes, no matter whether it's got 30 million pixels or it's got 10. Or as for my D1, I've got a D1 camera here that's, you know, when it was new, it was £5,000. It's only 8.4 megapixels, but it's no worse a picture than me M50 that I'm recording on now. On the quality side, the only thing that my M50 will do is print the image larger because of the more pixels. It's not saying that it's going to give me a better picture quality. It's not. 8.4 against, you know, 20-30 megapixels. Yes, you will find a little bit of technology that's better in the newer cameras. It does allow you to use higher ISOs in lower light, as with the old camera. I mean, for mine, for this D1, you know, the £5,000 camera, anything over 800 ISO, it gets very grainy. With the M50, it doesn't. But that's just the sensor technology and things moving forward. But for the quality of the pixels, like we say here, you know, that will still print out, you know, a decent sized picture and still be sharp. And it's still in the realms of HD. So, you know, please don't get confused on buying a camera that has more megapixels that's going to give you a better picture. Well, it will a bit, but it just gives you the opportunity to print off a bigger picture if that's what you want to do. Anyway, I'm digressing now off the idea. So there you go, you've got your quality. I always shoot in RAW. That's just me. That's the way I like it. So you've got quality, your red eye. The beep is when you're in manual mode and you focus manually and you press it down, it'll beep when it's in focus. And that's obviously shoot with the card. So obviously that you're not on. Next one, like I said to you, disregard all of this apart from the picture style. Yeah. So your picture style, I've been through it once. You've got your landscape, your neutral, faithful, black and white, users if you want to set your own up, you know, portrait and standard and landscape. So if you're going out landscape photographing, you know, be my guest, choose landscape, and that'll change the colours. But obviously, if I go on faithful, which I do, which gives a neutral balance of everything, it gives me, while I'm in raw format. Raw means raw. It's a raw format. You have to do the alterations on camera. On computer. As with JPEG, you don't have to do too much post editing because it's already sorted it for it. Not that you can't, you still can, but the idea of raw format, and for me, faithful, is allowing me to do my post processing, having complete control on the post processing. So I've got complete control on the camera where I set everything that I want it to be, and on the computer, because I set it to faithful, it's allowing me to use the software to its maximum capabilities of changing the pictures, the colour, the the white balance, everything on there. So that's quite an important one. But the rest of it, ignore it for now. The play, as I said, irrelevant really. And then the next one, that's quite, your formatting, your auto power, and your brightness. That's important. So you can change the brightness of your LCD. Sometimes when you're outside, and it's very sunshiny, you might want to just adjust that so you can see it. And then the next one, there we go. Like I said, make sure that the language is the language you want. Video system for England is PAL, or if you're in America, it's NTC, which is simple. You just scroll down, press it, and change it. Custom functions, there again, leave that out. Don't forget, if you buy a camera second hand, go to the clear settings and make sure that you clear the settings, even though they may have not been changed. Just make sure you reset the camera back to the factory setting, so at least then while you're learning, you won't know why a button won't do this or like that because somebody might have changed it before. And that's it on the menu system. I can't think of anything else on the menu system that I need to go through really that's pretty basic, which you need to keep it because obviously we're learning, aren't we? We're beginners, so you don't need to know half of it yet. So the next bit, the only thing I'm showing you really is the focusing side of it. So we'll have a look at that next. So you can see there on the picture you have a switch, which is AF and manual. Now obviously for beginning side of it, obviously keep it switched on to autofocus because that's much easier. And then until you get used to using your camera, then obviously keep it on there. Now if you can see that on the camera itself, let's turn it over, it says it's set there on one shot. Now you use one shot for still objects. So if you're taking a portrait or you're taking landscape, then obviously ideally one shot is the focus mechanism that you'd use. Now to dig into your focusing selection, then all you need to do is on here, on your right hand side of the camera, on the button here, it says AF, which is autofocus, yeah? So click that, and then it allows you to select which mode you want to be in. So at the minute we're in one shot, AI focus and AI servo focus. Now really I only use this one and this one. This one I'm not really keen on, so I won't really go into that. But the one shot is, like I said to you before, is for still objects, and the AI servo is for moving objects. So if you're doing a bit of sport photography, a bit of wildlife photography, you know, fast moving objects, once you press the button in halfway to focus and keep your button pressed halfway, it'll always track the image that you're following. So if you're trying to focus on a bird in flight, then you point obviously the camera at the bird, press the button halfway down, keep it halfway down, and that will keep tracking the bird. Because if you're in one shot, it won't track it. It'll only focus on non-moving. So for the autofocus mode, I only use on this camera one shot for still photography and AI servo, which you just move for that, select OK, and it's now in AI servo. So it'll always track. That's basically how it works. So your button on there, on your left hand side, press it, it gives you that. Okay? One shot. The top button is the ISO, which is set here, yeah? So once you're in manual mode, you click the top button and it allows you to select your ISO. Okay? Go across, 1600 is the maximum on this camera. Always try and work within, 200 and 100. It gives you, less noise on your picture. Like I said to you before, 800 on the other camera, I started getting a bit grainy. Obviously, it will get grainy. So, outside, try and stick to 100, 200, 400. Go higher if you need to, if the light's not so good. But, you'll see the results from that anyway. But try and keep it within them. Obviously, inside, it might be, you've no option but to use a higher ISO. But keeping it basic, 100, 200. Select, and it tells you there. Yeah. This one is your white balance. I always tend to leave it on automatic on this camera because actually it isn't too bad. But on my other camera, I have to set everything up, so I do tend to use it. If it's cloudy, then I'll select cloudy. If I'm in sunlight, daylight, then obviously use daylight. But for this particular camera, I'm quite happy for the white balance to be on auto. If you get it wrong, you will notice your pictures are rubbish. Sometimes, if for argument's sake you have it on daylight and it's cloudy, your pictures may turn out a little bit wishy-washy, and if you can't understand why your pictures are a bit wishy-washy, then you need to check your white balance, because it could be the white balance that's throwing everything out, because you're telling the camera to alter its sensor to this, and it's going to alter it accordingly. So if you pick the wrong one, if you're on a cloudy day and it's a sunny day, you know, there again the pictures could end up being a bit wishy-washy. So to eradicate that, then always keep your white balance onto auto. And then once you've got that, you select the middle button, select, and it's there, auto white balance. So I hope that's been informative for you. If you want me to dig any deeper, I'll do that on another video. If there's something specific that you need to know, then please don't forget to click subscribe and click like on the link below. And hopefully this has been helpful for us that are just learning to use a DSLR camera. See you next time.